You know that feeling, right? You get a text inviting you to some big, loud, crowded event, and you can literally feel your social battery drain to zero on the spot. If the very thought of a packed room makes you want to build a pillow fort and never leave, then you are definitely in the right place. We're going to get into the psychology behind why your brain is screaming, "Go home."
Look, that feeling, it isn't a flaw. It doesn't mean you're antisocial or boring, not at all. In fact, that gut reaction, that immediate nope, is actually a signal that something way more interesting and complex is happening inside your head. And this is the key takeaway right from the start. You're not broken. Your brain is just wired differently. It's like you're playing this intricate game of psychological chess, noticing all the moves while a lot of other people are just casually playing checkers. So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with your brain's built-in vibe check. Then we'll get into what it means to have an 8K IMAX brain. We'll talk about why you might be allergic to small talk, how your brain's reward system is just different, why you're basically an emotional Wi-Fi router, and finally, the incredible power that comes with embracing the quiet. Okay, so it all begins with how your brain filters the world, or more to the point, how it doesn't filter it. See, most people can walk into a noisy room and their brain just kind of deletes all the unimportant stuff. Yours? Yeah, yours does the exact opposite. Think of it this way. The average brain comes with a pretty decent spam filter. It just automatically ignores like 90% of what's going on around it. But your brain, its spam filter is broken. Or maybe a better way to put it is that its default setting is screenshot everything. Every single conversation, every laugh, the flickering lights, the weird smell in the corner, it's all getting saved and analyzed in real time. Now, there's actually a scientific name for this. It's not just a personality quirk. It perfectly explains this high-definition, sometimes overwhelming experience of just being alive. And that name is sensory processing sensitivity. The most important thing to know here is that this is not a disorder. It's a trait. It just means your brain is wired from the ground up to process everything: sights, sounds, social cues, other people's emotions, with incredible depth and intensity. This analogy just nails it, doesn't it? It's like most people are watching life on an old 480p TV. The background's a little blurry, they're just focused on the main action. But you're strapped into an 8K IMAX theater. You're not just seeing the main event, you're analyzing every tiny micro-expression, every subtle shift in someone's posture. It is an unbelievably rich and, frankly, exhausting amount of data to process constantly. And if you're sitting there thinking, wow, that's me, well, you are not alone. Not by a long shot. Research shows that about 20% of the population, that's 1 out of every 5 people, shares this trait. So your high-def nervous system is way more common than you'd think. So how does all of this sensory overload translate to our social lives? Well, that heightened perception is exactly why big parties and crowded events can feel like running a marathon. It's not really about the people, it's about the performance. And this is such a critical distinction to make. You probably don't actually hate people. What you can't stand is the performance, the fake laughs, the predictable social scripts, that feeling that everyone's just playing a role instead of being authentic. And because your brain is that 8K IMAX camera, you see right through all those masks. You see the person pretending to have the time of their life, but their body language is screaming that they want to go home. You notice that tiny little eye twitch on the person who keeps saying, "Oh yeah, everything's great." Seeing that disconnect between what people say and what they actually feel is just draining. And get this, science totally backs this up. A study from Cambridge University actually found that people who prefer solitude often have higher emotional intelligence. So you see, you're not avoiding crowds because you don't understand people. You're avoiding them because you understand them too well. Your brain is just craving real connection, not surface-level nonsense. So why does your brain crave that deep, meaningful stuff? Well, it literally comes down to brain chemistry. Your brain runs on a different kind of fuel, one that rewards quiet, internal exploration way more than loud external parties. This right here is the whole ballgame. A lot of brains are wired to run on dopamine. That's the chemical that gives you a buzz from new experiences, big crowds, high energy. Your brain, on the other hand, gets its kicks from acetylcholine. That's the neurotransmitter that makes you feel good when you turn inward, when you're concentrating, reading, or just exploring your own thoughts. And it's not just chemical, it's physical.
Neuroscientists have actually found that people who are more introverted tend to have thicker gray matter in their prefrontal cortex. You know, just the part of your brain that handles deep, abstract, complex thought. So when you're just sitting there doing nothing, your brain is actually having its own private party.
Okay, but wait, there's more. On top of processing all the sights and sounds, there's another layer. You don't just notice emotions in a crowd, you actually absorb them. Your brain's mirror neurons are working overtime, turning you into an emotional Wi-Fi router for the whole room. So here's what that looks like in practice. You walk into a room, instantly your brain's mirror neurons start firing, detecting all the emotional signals bouncing around. But it doesn't stop it detecting, you start downloading it all. You're feeling the anxiety from the guy in the corner, the forced happiness from the group by the bar, and suddenly your brain is trying to process not just your own feelings, but the feelings of 100 other people. It's a total system overload, and it's no wonder you need like 3 business days to recover. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that when you choose to avoid a crowd, you're not running away from life. You're actually running towards something incredibly valuable, yourself. And this quote just says it all. Society loves to confuse solitude with loneliness, but for a brain like yours, they are polar opposites. That silence isn't empty space. It's the space where you finally get to hear your own thoughts, without the constant screaming noise of the outside world.
So let's be really clear about this. You're not broken. You're not antisocial. You are simply a person who is built for depth, living in a world that is completely obsessed with shallow noise. Your mind is designed to see the beauty others miss, to feel the truths others ignore, and to think the thoughts that others never get quiet enough to even have.
And realizing this about yourself isn't a weakness, it's a genuine superpower. So I guess the only question left is, where do you fall? Are you on team crowds, someone who really thrives on all that energy? Or are you, like a lot of us, happily on team cactus, thriving in the quiet?